You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
Right now at 7, Freeman making a big announcement. A new hospital coming to Pittsburgh.
Also, MSSU holds its Community Day so students can see what the area offers for them.
And we have our alert days continuing for dangerous heat out there. We'll take another look at your forecast coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
I'm Chris Warner, just after 7 a.m. on this Thursday morning, and we want to remind folks, in case you haven't caught us on the KOAM side, there was a power outage, about 3,500 folks in Joplin without power through the morning.
A lot.
The good news is we got word from Liberty. It was what they call wildlife interference, so we're talking squirrel, duck, goose, something getting into some equipment that caused this outage. But they said all customers should be restored. And of course, if you are still having any issues, make sure you give them a call and they'll get that taken care of for you. So not a good way to start Thursday, but thankfully it was taken care of before the temperatures got too hot.
Absolutely. That's what's most important. And speaking of taking care of yourselves, a new hospital is in the works for Pittsburgh. The announcement came yesterday, and KOAM's Amber Jenkins talked about the Freeman Health Project.
Freeman Health System is planning to build a fully functional 50-bed hospital in Pittsburgh. Freeman is looking to improve rural health care accessibility and add more than 500 new jobs.
We'll be recruiting new physicians to work full-time in Pittsburgh. We will still have the availability of our specialists in Joplin, but we intend to recruit specifically for Pittsburgh, Kansas.
The $168 million project's location and timeline are still in development.
We have already visited with and had meetings with the architect about the plans, so we already have a head start on that. So that's why I think we can quickly obtain some land, get the architectural drawings finalized, do the soil studies, and all those things that are necessary from an engineering perspective, and then we'll be ready to break ground.
A new hospital will greatly help Paul Roberts, who drives his wife from Fort Scott to Joplin for chemo treatment. Saving 30 minutes of driving makes a difference.
You know, an excellent opportunity for Southeast Kansas, rural America, that Freeman, steps in and fills a void. Fort Scott is basically rural where our hospital shut down.
As of now, Pittsburgh only has one hospital, but Roberts thinks the community can benefit from some medical competition.
If something were to happen, let's say here in Pittsburgh, that one of the other hospitals were to decide we're leaving, then you've got a backup. And I think for future, we need to have more than just one. Competition is a beautiful thing.
We know that if we take care of the people, we don't worry so much about the competition. I think the whole entire Southeast Kansas region has come to rely upon Freeman Health System.
Reporting in Pittsburgh, Amber Jenkins, KOAM News.
Currently, Freeman has hospitals in Joplin and Neosha and other healthcare facilities scattered throughout southwest Missouri, southeast Kansas, and Oklahoma.
And of course, it never hurts to have a few more available healthcare facilities in the event of an emergency, or as we learned during the Joplin tornado, as you recall, St. John's was completely disabled by that tornado, and that left only one hospital in Joplin to be able to take care of that. So if we didn't have two there, could have been a lot worse situation in terms of getting people taken care of.
Absolutely. And hopefully we don't have anyone going to the hospital in this hot heat,
no,
right?
No, we certainly not. Hopefully you are taking those appropriate precautions, as we have the excessive heat warnings that do continue through 10 o'clock tomorrow night for southeast Kansas and southwest Missouri. And oh my gosh. Gabe intentionally left this cord right in the middle of the floor because he wanted to watch me almost die. The excessive heat warnings continue in northeast Oklahoma until 8 tonight, and then they're anticipating to replace them with heat advisories as we head into Friday. So what we've got is humidity and dew point levels are going to be a little bit lower today and a little bit lower tomorrow, but just because they are does not mean this heat isn't still dangerous. So you still got to take the appropriate precautions. Number one, if you don't have to be outside, don't. If you do, stay hydrated, take those frequent breaks, limit strenuous outdoor activities, wear the lightweight, light-colored clothing, check on the elderly and pets, and our heat index values today, again, in that 105 to 115 degree range, so make sure you are taking precautions. There's relief on the way. There's even rain on the way, and we'll talk about all of that in your full forecast here in a few more minutes. Caitlin?
Thanks, Chris. A newly released video shows what happened when inmates assaulted a corrections officer and held him hostage. Now attention is turning to security issues at the Missouri jail that allowed it to happen. Brett Solomon has the story.
Take a look at this video inside the St. Louis Justice Center Tuesday, moments after 2 inmates held a 73-year-old corrections officer hostage, all over the food they were being served.
It's very scary.
The victim's daughter, who asked not to be identified, spoke with her father when he was recovering in the hospital.
He got a busted lip, and I think he got a concussion.
Officials say 2 inmates attacked the corrections officer and held him against his will.
For up to 2 hours, his life was in danger. He wasn't protected by the city that he serves. There is severe understaffing. They are not able to adequately handle the amount of detainees that they have accepted at that facility.
Today, the Commissioner of Corrections for the jail would not address how many officers were working, citing security reasons. When asked if there's a need for community oversight,
I think this is merely an operation issue and has nothing to do with oversight. They were operating the way they should have been.
Even with all of the procedures that are supposed to protect him, the procedures that the warden today said worked just as they should, his life was put in danger.
Even the 73-year-old's daughter is left with questions.
I don't think he was by himself. Was there another protocol, other guard around him? I don't know. My dad is not mean. He's very nice. My dad would never, he does his job.
The Correction Task Force was created after inmates rioted at the same jail in 2021. Officials say the inmates involved in the most recent incident will be charged. And the Pitt State Marching Band had to come up with a strategy to beat the heat. The band has moved its practice indoors in preparation for the first football game of the year, which is happening next week. Since Monday, the PSU band has had the chance to play in the Plaster Center for the first time. They are also using the Bicknell Center to practice.
Being in here is a really big help for just us concentrating and doing everything that we need to do for put marching on the field.
We would be out in the heat like we were all week last week doing our camp. We were blessed with some wonderful weather. We got really lucky, just got a little steamy on Friday, but we were all good.
So interacted with the football team and even taught the athletes some PSU songs. Another strategy the band will adopt to keep themselves healthy in extreme temperatures is wearing lighter clothes instead of their traditional uniform until the temperatures cool down. And a big event at Missouri Southern yesterday welcomed students, faculty, and staff to a new school year and helped acquaint them with what the community has to offer. More than 100 businesses and organizations gathered at the Bilingually Student Center for Community Day. They provided some freebies and information to volunteer for some job opportunities.
It's really great for students to get active and involved in things like this because exposure is everything. You'll never get an opportunity that you're not aware of. So I encourage students all the time, just come be present and talk and learn more about what opportunities are in your local area.
I think it can be kind of hard sometimes to find good places to try and find jobs and opportunities to kind of implement the skills that I've gotten in college. So I thought this would be a great way for me to come out and see what my options are as far as post-education and, maybe try and figure out also what I might be more interested in.
Classes for Missouri Southern's fall semester began on Monday. Coming up, Chef Anthony continues to make his return to the morning show as we make Midwest sushi with him.
Plus, World War II vets that flew in B-26s during the war reunite with one of those planes. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Be right back. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. 7:11 now on this Thursday morning, and we have got what is, again, a deceivingly nice start to the day. Look at the sky. It looks great. A few clouds out there. We got some haze, a little bit of light fog, nothing too dense or too crazy, but it looks nice, but it's going to be hot again. We're sitting at 78 in Joplin. Feels like 81, so our heat index values this morning doing a little bit better because our dew points are down just a little bit. Unfortunately, they're going to climb again. They won't climb nearly as high, but they're still going to give us dangerous heat index values around the area. We're sitting at 75 in Iola, 77s in Fort Scott and Chanute, 72 in Parsons, 74 Pittsburgh, 77 Miami, and 78 Neosho and Carthage. Our dew points, now, as you recall, most of them have been in the mid to upper 70s. Most of them, at least initially this morning, were low to mid 70s. But as you can see, we're starting to see more of those mid to upper 70s out there. So we're going from that muggy to soupy back up to that miserable range out there. Our heat index values this morning, again, not too bad yet, but they are going to increase as we head through the rest of the day. We're getting partly cloudy skies through the morning, upper 80s by late morning. Our highs once again upper 90s, lower 100s, partly cloudy. Heat index values today 105 to 115. A stray shower or two possible this evening, but the majority of us, if not all of us, will ultimately be dry and hot. Upper 70s, low 80s for our overnight lows. We have some better pop-up storm chances tomorrow, Saturday, and into Sunday, as well as Monday. And we're still hot tomorrow, 100 degrees. Excessive heat warnings continue through tomorrow. And then we get into the weekend and next week, and that relief finally gets here as we go back into the mid to upper 80s. It's going to feel great by next week. Well, the B-26 Marauder Historical Society is holding its annual reunion in North Canton, Ohio. On Monday, two special guests were there, a pair of veterans who flew in B-26 planes during World War II. Rob Powers was there as the veterans took a walk down memory lane.
The B-26 had a personality all its own.
And that's why 100-year-old Stan Walsh came from California.
We nosed down to get below the clouds just in time to see it hit and explode.
And Jerry Reschke, who turns 99 next week, came from Illinois.
You remember the exciting things.
To experience that personality one more time, remembering a time when they were crew members so many years ago on planes just like this one.
I love it. You know, I get very excited when I see a B-26.
Mr. Walsh even signed his name on the belly of this plane right by the bomb bay. This day bringing both men a flood of incredibly vivid wartime memories.
Of course, if the bombs got hung up, I'd have to come back here and kick them free.
Yeah, this is my 61 missions, and this is the one, ME-109, it came in on me and I got him.
So this thing has been around a long time.
Well, this is an 80-year-old jacket.
Speaking with other guests about their service, seeing this plane that for years existed only in their memories, up close, once again, man and machine reunited, proud to have done their part all those years ago. What can you say about your service to your country?
Oh, well, I would not have missed it.
No, I would not.
Yeah, you think of the joy, not of the horror.
Now, Reschke said he graduated high school on June 7th, 1943, and he was in uniform by June 11th. Well, coming up, we're going to take you to Bookhouse Cinema to learn more about a cat video fest that's taking place at the theater. We'll be back.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Returning to studio is Chef Anthony, and we're continuing to make Midwest sushi.
Midwest sushi, yes.
And we were discussing how Midwest sushi is different than what I'm accustomed to when it comes to sushi because it's fish. And Chef Anthony, you're saying that sushi's not about the fish.
No, it's not about the fish. It's all about the rice. The rice that you're using is a sushi rice. It's traditional sushi rice, but you can put anything that you want on it. And the beautiful thing about this is the beef is Crawford County beef. And I brought some vegetables and some things to kind of spice it up just a little bit. And we're using some of my traditional seasoning blends that I love to use. So we're going to do something, and sushi should always be about what's available to you in your general area.
All right.
So we have a beautiful piece of filet here, and I've cut it thin, and I seasoned it up with our smoked onion and jalapeno.
My favorite.
blend and just a touch of salt. And we're working to get a good little sear on both sides. Get a little bit of color on it, and then we'll flip it over, and then we're going to let it rest for a minute or two, and then we'll actually assemble some sushi for you.
Well, I'm excited about that. And tell us the reason why you chose this cut of meat in particular.
Well, the fillet is nice and tender. There's hardly any fat inside the fillet. Most of it's always trimmed off. So you get a nice tender piece. It's beautiful for this. If you want to go off and you really want to show off, use a piece of strip steak.
Okay.
And cut it really thin. Or if you really just want to blow people's socks off and show them what you can do, use your sous vide that we talked about last year.
Oh, those
and
are great.
use that to produce it, so you end up with super intensified flavors, but you can do anything that you want with it, and you can use almost any cut of meat. I did this with a chuck roast.
Really?
So, and working with the chuck roast is usually a very stubborn, tough piece of meat, but it's all about how you treat it.
So I know I'm stuck in my old sushi way of thinking, but you take one, you pop it in your mouth. It might be 2 bites or 1 bite. Yep. Is this going to be a 1 bite or a 2?
We're going to make these just a little bit larger than your traditional 1 bite, so it's going to be a good mouthful.
Okay, great.
So, and there we go. We have beautiful color on both
beautiful.
sides of that fillet. We'll take that off the heat. We're going to let that rest just a little bit.
Okay.
And it's beautiful in its color. Now, remember, when you cut something like this and you're showing it off, you want to cut with the grain so the grain structures are real short.
Okay, so when you say with the grain, you can see the lines across?
The lines across, so you're going to cut it so that you're cutting across those lines. You're cutting those lines really short.
Gotcha.
So that it tears real easy. When a steak's really chewy, it's because somebody cut it with the grain.
Really? It actually changes the consistency.
It changes the consistency and how tender it is. So it's all about the cut. Filet works really well because you can get that really short, compact grain, and it'll tear real easy. It's nice and tender. You don't lose it in anything else that you make.
I love that. Well, stay tuned because we'll have the final 3 parts to see what he comes up with for the Midwest Sushi right after the break. Welcome back. We are joined here with Chef Anthony, and now we are on the final part of this Midwest sushi that he's making. So we've created this specialty rice, the sushi rice. We have a beautiful cut of meat here.
Yes.
And now it's all assembly.
We're going to start our assembly. So what we're going to do, we've let our steak rest a little bit, and I'm going to cut the end off. And then I'm going to cut nice thin strips.
With the
grain. With the grain this time because I cut it short across the grain the time previous. So these pieces will be nice and tender when we go to actually put the sushi together.
Oh, they're so cute and thin.
So we're going to take a little bit of the sushi.
All right.
A little bit of the rice.
It's about same as like a dough ball, kind of?
About that. And we're going to lay it out in the shape that we want to do it. Now see, when I used to teach this, we had an administrator at the school who almost everybody comes down. We did cookies yesterday and they were coming out of the woodwork. But we did sushi and he doesn't like sushi, so we made sushi and then we put little goldfish crackers on top of it for him.
That's hilarious.
So,
a lot of people don't like sushi. It kind of freaks them out, the idea of eating raw fish. So this is a great alternative.
Exactly. But you don't have to have raw fish in your sushi. You can do anything that you want, and that's the idea behind this, is just cater it and create it to what you want. Now I put a little bit of corn, a slice of jalapeno.
Oh yeah, and it's beautiful too.
And we're going to add a slice of Peruvian cherry pepper.
Lovely.
And a little piece of meat right across the top of it.
Oh, that is beautiful.
So that when you set it down and you build your plates up, you end up with this very beautiful little bite to eat.
Perfect, even for serving it as appetizers at a dinner party. It really is elegant.
So, and you can kind of do whatever you like with these, and you can change the variations with it, but you can also turn this around and put it into one of these bowls and start adding your ingredients on top, so that you can do whatever you want with it.
What about a dip sauce? Instead of the soy sauce, could you do like an aioli?
You can do an aioli, a spicy aioli would work really well with this. A little bit of mayonnaise with like a Cajun seasoning blend, or some ground up peppers straight out of your garden. Dry them, grind up the peppers, put them straight in. You can season the rice just a little bit, but wait to season the rice until after you've cooked it.
I love it. Well, this looks absolutely beautiful. I wish you at home could see how cute it is. The presentation is lovely, and it's fun to do.
Oh yes, this stuff's
little,
great to work on.
and pretty easy for a quick, easy.
You could throw this together right before an event. If you do like a wine party or you're just doing a little social gathering, you can throw these together. You can actually put all this together and let everybody make their own.
That's awesome. Yes, great
Build
fun
your own
for the
sushi
kids.
bar.
Well, thank you so much, Chef Anthony. And you at home, make sure you check out this great website or great recipe of how to make Midwest sushi. And we'll see you right back here after the break.
You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. The time now is 7:29 a.m. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy. Cat lovers around the 4 states have an opportunity to watch cat videos while raising money for a good cause. Bookhouse Cinema in Joplin hosts Cat Video Fest, which is a compilation reel of the latest and best cat videos, all pulled together from unique submissions and sourced animations. It's a joyous communal experience that can only be seen in theaters, and it raises money for cats in need through partnerships with local cat charities. A portion of ticket sales will be going to spare cat rescues in Carthage.
Really important. We show the types of films that can maybe make you pivot a little bit and make you stop and think, or make you feel like you sort of share something with the other people in the audience you're watching it with. So it's really important that you support cinema and remember that we're here, or try us out for the first time if you haven't. That $4 movie ticket is pretty enticing.
Tickets cost $8 and the event runs Friday, Saturday, Sunday, as well as the 31st.
And we are continuing our alert days through Friday with the excessive heat warnings for Kansas and Missouri continuing through 10 o'clock tomorrow night. And they'll run through 8 this evening for Northeast Oklahoma, and then they will expire. And Tulsa is going to replace those with heat advisories come tomorrow. We've got to remind you, of course, stay hydrated, take frequent breaks, limit strenuous outdoor activities, wear the lightweight, light-colored clothing, check on the elderly, pets, children, because we'll have heat index values today, 105 to 115. And we do eventually have some relief on the way. We've got some showers on the way. We have much cooler temperatures on the way. And we will look at all that in your full forecast here a little bit later. Caitlin?
The Healthy Bourbon County Action Team awarded nearly $50,000 in grants to local entrepreneurs. The team gave $7,000 to 2 restaurants and handed out grants to 7 women-owned, minority-owned, or low-income startup businesses worth $5,000 each. Officials say those businesses worked with the teams to develop plans to grow their businesses.
We encourage that they support these businesses. They are startups, so we hope that they go into their businesses and they purchase their items and learn more about these startup businesses.
The team says it's awarded a total of $195,000 in grants to similar businesses over the past 2 years. Carthage residents got to see the Park of the Future. The Carthage Chamber of Commerce cut the ribbon on the grand opening of the playground at Carter Park. It's designed to be more inclusive for kids with disabilities through things like ramps and specially designed swings. The improvements were made thanks to a grant.
The McCune Brooks Foundation provided a grant that was worth about $5 million to help with improvement of parks like this throughout our community. There's 5 slated and this is 2 of 5.
We just want all kids to be able to come and play at the playground. We want it to be a place that families want to come. And so we've never had the ADA compliance before, and so we're integrating all of that into all of our parks.
This new playground is the second of 5 being built over the summer and fall in Carthage because of that grant. And that's a look at our top news stories coming up on this half hour of the KOAM Morning News. Will Davis joins us in studio and tells us all about bridges being renamed after fallen officers.
Plus, as we mentioned, we hold on to the alert days. We're holding on to the heat, but relief is on the way. We'll take another look at your forecast here in a few more minutes. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News here on Fox 14. Joining us in the studio, Captain Will Davis from the Joplin Police Department. So you may recall here recently we did a story where a few of the bridges in Joplin have been renamed for some fallen officers, and that's exactly what we're here to talk about. So welcome in.
I appreciate having me. Thank you very much.
I think just from my standpoint, I know this is a very important thing to be able to do. So we're talking the bridge on East 20th, just over the railroad tracks there, the one on South Range Line that MoDOT just rebuilt, and the newer bridge over I-44 on Connecticut. So first off, each of these bridges, which names go where?
Yeah, so on East 20th, that's going to be the Officer Jake Reed Memorial Bridge. And it's kind of significant for Jake because during his career there was an individual who's contemplating harming themselves by jumping off that bridge, and so he talked to him and was able to de-escalate the situation and help save that person's life. So that really kind of has some meaning to Jake and his family, and they really wanted to pursue that bridge, and so we're thankful for the city council that that is a city bridge. So they went through the whole entire process of planning and getting everything organized in order to officially rename that in his honor for the sacrifice he made back in March of last year.
And then the bridge over South Range Line, of course, that's a MoDOT bridge, but still, it was able to be renamed as well.
Yeah. And the bridge on South Range Line, the Corporal Ben Cooper Memorial Bridge. We're thankful for Lane Roberts and Ben Baker for sponsoring those, because those are state bridges, and so the Ben Cooper Bridge there on South Range Line, it's going to be labeled right there for his honor for the actions of last March, where of course he died in the line of duty. And then the bridge on Connecticut that goes over I-44 is in honor of Officer Tim Nilsson, who had died back in 2004. And so we still recognize the sacrifice that he made in the line of duty, and we're here to support them and their families, and if there's something that we can continue to honor them kind of going forward, we're really excited about it.
I still remember that morning in 2004, just everything that went down there. How important is it to be able to recognize and honor these officers for their sacrifices?
Because paying that ultimate sacrifice in the line of duty, I mean, that's kind of the ultimate, and so you have the ceremonies, you have the funerals, but this is something that each and every time you drive over it, you're gonna see that placard, you're gonna see that recognition, and so it just kind of helps bring back the memory of their sacrifice, and for that they paid, and they were the great servants to the community, and I think this is just a small way that we can honor them and all the great things that they did.
And we're just about out of time, but I wanted to also ask real quick, what kind of impact does this have on officers in the department, especially those who have been there for those events, to be able to see that recognition as well?
I think it's great, because we don't. This is the first time we've had something like this in Joplin, and so we've worked very closely with these officers, and so. It's one of those where now every time you kind of go over it, you're like, it's the Jake Reed Bridge. So, I know with some, it's a tradition now that whenever you go over the bridge, you're calling out their name. And so it's one of those that we're not going to forget everything that they did. So it's very special to the officers. It's very special to me. And I know it means a lot to their families.
Captain Davis, thanks so much for coming in.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you.
We got information on where these bridges are and town if you want to stop by and pay your own respects and tributes. And we'll be back with more of the KOAM Morning News right after this. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. Now at 7:41, almost 7:42, we have our alert day for continuing until tomorrow, with the excessive heat warnings continuing until tomorrow. That's for heat index values of 105 to 115 today. However, as we head into the evening, latest update still shows maybe a stray shower or two later this evening, but again, as you can see, the majority of us remain dry, and we remain quite hot as we head into the evening hours. Now, Friday afternoon, we actually see a slightly better chance. They're still very widely scattered, but there's at least a few more showers, maybe even a couple of thunderstorms briefly before sunset. And then we go into early Saturday morning, and we see a few more scattered showers and thunderstorms across the area. And these will hang on until just after sunrise, and they'll fizzle out, but it doesn't take long before we head into the evening. We see additional scattered showers showers and thunderstorms. Now, all of this may not come to fruition exactly as we're seeing, but we are looking at better rain chances as we head into Saturday and into our Sunday across the area as we start to see some relief from this heat. All right, now Joplin 78, feels like 81, and as you can see, mostly clear skies. There's a few clouds here and there, but otherwise a nice looking sky at least. 76 Yates Center, 75 Iola, 77 Fort Scott, Pittsburgh, Chanute, 78 Miami, and 77 in Neosho. Our dew points again had been pretty decent. You can see Neodesha is actually at 69. That's not that bad, but we're starting to see them increase. We're starting to get into the mid to upper 70s out there, putting us into that soupy to miserable range again, and that's why those excessive heat warnings do continue across the area. So heat index values this morning, they're getting up there. They're not bad yet, but that will change as we head into the afternoon. Partly cloudy skies this morning, near 90 by 11, and as we head into the afternoon, temperatures continue to climb, upper 90s, lower 100s, partly cloudy skies out there, and of course those heat index values 105 to 115. And then through the evening, staying hot, and we'll go back into the upper 70s and lower 80s for our overnight lows. Again, we do cool down next week. We'll look at that 7-day here in a few more minutes, but first, we're going to send it over to Caitlin for a check of Consumer Watch.
All right, thanks, Chris. In Consumer Watch this morning, Macy's is seeing a spike in the number of customers not paying their credit card bills. The retailer said the delinquencies are higher than what management expected. Credit card revenue for the company is down 36% this year and contributed to a quarterly loss. It got worse in June and July, and Macy's isn't alone. Moody's reported credit card and auto loan delinquencies have now surpassed pre-COVID levels. Many analysts believe that credit delinquencies show financial stress on consumers is growing. And the Federal Trade Commission says Americans lost nearly $9 billion to scams last year. A new report shows how these crimes not only have a major financial impact, but also an emotional one. Christy Lazar has more.
Millions of people look for love on dating sites, including this woman who asked us not to reveal her identity for privacy reasons.
How did he woo you? Just trying to get to know me.
The successful businesswoman made a connection with a man from another state who claimed to be an investor with a master's in finance. The two only spoke online, but within weeks referred to one another as husband and wife.
We want to buy a house there. We want to get married here.
He also offered to help her invest money on what she thought were legitimate financial sites. After she saw her returns double, she invested more. But those sites turned out to be fake, and her would-be suitor, a scam artist.
I know you're emotional. Can you describe how you feel? Stupid.
Identity crime victimization has much bigger impacts than just how much money did you lose.
Eva Velasquez is the president of the Identity Theft Resource Center, and in a new survey found these scams can have a major emotional impact, with 16% of victims reporting thoughts of suicide, double the number from just 2 years earlier.
It's things like feeling vulnerable, feeling ashamed or embarrassed, angry.
And Velasquez says a rise in sophisticated scams preying on people's emotions are taking victims for a lot of money.
People who are losing over $10,000, sometimes over $100,000.
I lost it all.
For the businesswoman we spoke with, the loss was $2.3 million.
And where is that money now? Gone.
Experts say many scam victims blame themselves when they should be blaming the criminal. Christine Lazar, CBS News, Los Angeles.
About 1/3 of the crime victims in the survey reported seeking out emotional support. We'll be right back with more after this, but first, let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell. A FedEx delivery man is being hailed as a hero for going beyond the call of duty by taking on a rattlesnake.
He was rattled by the encounter, but persevered. Jeannie Moose reports.
Some FedEx delivery guys just deliver packages, but this one delivered mortal blows to a rattlesnake, a rattler that took the welcome mat a little too literally at Christy Jones's Nebraska home.
How do you feel about snakes? I like snakes.
But when Matt Govier dropped off a package, It was the noise the rattler made that alerted him.
Oh.
When he calmed down, Matt took photos of the rattler. Since no one was home, he went to the garage and came back with a rake and a spade. The deed was heard but not seen. Basically, you just whack him with a shovel.
Yeah, kinda.
Matt was not eager to dwell on it. He removed the snake with a rake.
I hope that's the only time I have to do that.
He texted homeowner Christy Jones saying,
I hope you didn't have a pet rattlesnake at your front door because I killed him.
Matt added, sorry about the blood. Christy was very grateful. Her kids use that door all the time. She posted, I nominate Matt Govier for FedEx Employee of the Year. As for Matt's boss,
I sent a picture to him and I told him I needed hazard pay.
Not happening. He just got a raise. Matt immediately spent some of it on a snake grabber on eBay. So if there's ever a next time, he can remove the rattler without hurting it. If snakes give you the willies, you'll appreciate Matt's gesture of relief.
Me shaking the wheelies off.
Federal Express. When an absolutely positively
cannot be there overnight or ever. Jeannie Mose, CNN, New York.
Oh man,
It's a proof for me.
He's braver than I would be with a
What a
rattlesnake.
great guy, yes.
I mean, hey, you're a
Above and
FedEx
beyond.
delivery guy going above and beyond for you there. So you never know what they're going to do. And I've seen that, FedEx, UPS, even mail carriers, I've seen them do pretty impressive things. They're really brave folks
Yes,
out there.
they really are the heroes.
Or it's maybe just the heat gets to them and they suddenly turn brave when maybe normally they wouldn't be.
Yes, that's
Because
true.
Down here, as you know, we've been dealing with that dangerous heat. We still have the excessive heat warnings for Kansas and Missouri. Those run until 10 o'clock tomorrow night, rather. And then in northeast Oklahoma, they'll expire at 8 this evening. And at this time, Tulsa is going to be replacing those with heat advisories as we head into Friday. Because again, our humidity and dew point levels are going to come down a little, but that's not going to make it any safer out there. I also wanted to touch on the fact we have the possibility of some rain coming in. A stray shower or storm this evening, but as you can see, that's it. Our better chances will come Friday evening, where we'll see a few more widely scattered showers and maybe a couple of thunderstorms. And then we go into early Saturday morning, we get another batch of scattered showers and thunderstorms, and those kind of hang on with us through about sunrise or so. And then later Saturday evening, another potential round of some scattered showers and thunderstorms across the area ahead of some much needed relief. We're going to talk about all of that and the news you need to know right after this.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Freeman Health System yesterday announced plans to build a 50-bed hospital in Pittsburgh. Freeman is looking to improve rural health care accessibility and add more than 500 new jobs. The $168 million project's location and timeline are in development. A new hospital would greatly help Paul Roberts, who drives his wife from Fort Scott to Joplin for chemo treatment. Saving 30 minutes of driving makes a difference. The Healthy Bourbon County Action Team yesterday awarded nearly $50,000 in grants to local entrepreneurs. The team gave $7,000 to 2 restaurants and handed out grants to 7 women-owned, minority-owned, or low-income startup businesses worth $5,000 each. Officials say those businesses worked with the teams to develop plans to grow their businesses. And the Pitt State Marching Band had to come up with a strategy to beat the heat. The band has moved its practice indoors in preparation for the first football game of the year, which is happening next week. Since Monday, the PSU band has had the chance to play in the Plaster Center for the first time. They're also using the Bicknell Center to practice.
And we've got ourselves another hot one. Alert days continue through tomorrow. Excessive heat warnings through tomorrow as well. We've got highs upper 90s, lower 100s, partly cloudy skies, heat index values anywhere from 105 to 115 today. We're going to stay hot and dry, maybe a stray shower out there this evening, but I think the majority of us are just going to be straight up hot and dry. And we'll go back into the upper 70s and lower 80s as we head into the overnight hours. Again, our alert days continue through tomorrow with excessive heat warnings for most of us continuing until tomorrow. So those heat index values, again, 105 to 110 out there. And then we have pop-up storm chances Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And after we get past Saturday, take a look at those temperatures. They're going back into the mid to upper 80s. It's going to feel great out there. And even by the end of next week, when we reach the lower 90s, at least that's average. It's going to be beautiful. We just got to get through the next couple of days of this dangerous heat.
So thanks, Chris. Well, onlookers enjoyed watching dogs doggy paddling in a Chippewa Falls community pool.
It's the 15th annual Chippewa Falls Dog Swim. Dogs were welcomed into the pool if owners brought proof of rabies vaccination, and they had to pay a $5 fee per dog. Proceeds from the event, though, go towards the Happy Tails Dog Park to help keep with its upkeep.
With the heat wave, president of the park, Mark Bassett, says during the dog swim, people will not be allowed in the pool, and participants should be monitoring their dogs to remove any waste as needed.
I love that the guy's supervisor's name is Bassett. Well, thanks so much for letting us put the good in your morning. We'll be back at noon with more news and weather.